The war had ended, but the silence between the stars still felt heavy. General Cale Reeve stood tall inside the diplomatic chamber of the Zirelli capital ship. Around him, the alien leaders wore long robes and stiff expressions. Their violet skin shimmered under the bright white lights, and their large, glowing eyes blinked slowly. The Zirelli were not known for kindness, and Kyle had fought many of them in battle. Today, though, there was no fighting. There was peace, or at least something like it. Kyle had been chosen by the United Earth Coalition to receive a traditional gift of honor from the Zirelli as part of the ceasefire agreement. He didn't like it. The whole idea felt old and wrong, but Earth's leaders told him to accept it. Declining would insult the Zirelli and risk the new peace. When the side door opened, a small figure was brought in. She walked with slow, careful steps, her head low. Her wrists were not tied, but she held them together in front of her like she expected chains. Her clothing was simple but clean, a soft silver robe with Zirelli patterns on the sleeves. She was young, not a child but not much older. "This," one of the Zirelli diplomats said, "is the girl Vera. She is our offering of peace. We hope she pleases your kind." Cale frowned. He hated the way they said it, like she was an object, not a person. He stepped forward and tried to smile gently. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly, unsure if she understood English. Vera didn't answer. She didn't look at him, but Kyle saw her shoulders tremble slightly. He turned back to the Zirelli leaders. "Thank you," he said with a stiff tone. "I'll take responsibility for her." Back on his ship, Kyle had Vera brought to a private, comfortable room. He gave her space. Clean clothes, a soft bed, food. He told his crew not to treat her like a prisoner, but Vera refused to eat. She sat on the edge of the bed, eyes locked on the floor. She didn't speak, didn't sleep, and flinched every time Cale entered the room. He noticed strange things too. The way she avoided eye contact, the way she looked at his teeth when he spoke. Once, he offered her a cup of soup, and she backed into a corner, her hands shaking. "She's terrified," Cale told his assistant, a fellow officer named Mara. "But not just scared, she looks at me like she thinks I'm going to hurt her." Mara nodded. "The Zirelli told their people that humans are monsters, sir. They probably told her worse things." Kyle sighed. "I don't want her to be afraid of me. She's not a prisoner. She's just stuck." That night, Kyle sat just outside her room, thinking. Inside, Vera sat on the bed, knees pulled to her chest. Her large, glowing eyes stared at the untouched tray of food. She could hear the human soldier's quiet breathing from behind the door. She didn't understand him. He hadn't raised his voice. He hadn't touched her. He gave her food and warmth. But that didn't make sense. Back home, she'd heard stories. Humans were beasts in flesh. They destroyed cities. They drank the blood of enemies. They cooked and ate those they captured. And now, she had been given to one. Was he waiting? Was he feeding her just to make her stronger before he finally... Her thoughts trembled. Her hands curled around the soft blanket. Why hadn't he done anything yet? The next morning, Cale tried again. He entered the room, hands open to show he carried nothing. "I don't know if you understand me," he said gently. "But I want you to know. You're safe here. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to eat you or do anything bad. You're not a gift to me, you're a person." Vera looked up for just a second, her eyes filled with confusion. Kyle smiled. "See? That's better. Just try to eat something today, okay? No one's going to make you do anything." He left the room, leaving the tray behind. Vera stared at the food. It didn't smell bad. It didn't smell like poison. But still, fear curled in her stomach. She thought back to the soldier's words. He spoke slowly, carefully. She didn't understand all of it, but she caught one word. Safe. Was that possible? She picked up the spoon. Slowly she touched the soup with her tongue, warm, not strange. Her hand stopped shaking, just a little. Days passed slowly aboard the human ship. The quiet hum of the engines and the soft glow of the control panels filled the air. But for Vera, the feeling of fear never left her. She stayed mostly in her room, sitting by the window that looked out into the stars. The vast space outside was beautiful but made her feel very small and alone. The stars reminded her of home, but she was far away now, with a human soldier who she still didn't understand. General Cale Reeve visited her often, but Vera's fear made it hard for her to trust him. Every time he entered the room, she would flinch or move back. Sometimes she would cover her face with her hands as if hiding from a danger no one else could see. Kyle noticed this. He didn't want to force her or frighten her more. He understood her pain. After all, the Zerelli had taught her that humans were cruel and that she might be their food. Those stories had stayed with her and they were hard to forget. One day, Cale sat down beside her quietly. "Vera," he said softly, "I want to help you understand. I'm not your enemy." Vera looked at him, her glowing eyes wide and full of doubt. Kyle took a deep breath and tried another way. He reached out slowly and placed a small glowing device on the table between them. The device played images, pictures of Earth, green forests, blue oceans, smiling people, children playing. She watched, fascinated and confused. "This is your home?" she asked quietly, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," Kyle said, smiling gently. "Earth is a good place. People there live like this. We don't eat each other." Vera's lips pressed tightly together. "My people told me humans are dangerous. They said you eat your enemies." Kyle shook his head. "No, that is not true. We fight wars, yes, but we do not eat people. That is a lie." She stared at him, searching his face for the truth. Days turned into a week and slowly small changes happened. Vera began to eat small amounts of food Cale gave her. She still did not speak much, but she would listen when Cale told her stories about Earth. She liked to watch the images on the glowing device. Cale showed her pictures of tall trees, animals, and cities full of life. Vera was amazed by how different it all was from the barren desert of her home planet. Sometimes Cale shared stories of his family, his sister who loved to sing, his mother who grew flowers. Vera listened quietly and began to imagine a different kind of life. One afternoon, as Cale was explaining a story about human celebrations, Vera suddenly reached out and touched his hand. Cale froze for a moment but smiled softly. "You trust me," he said quietly. Vera nodded, still holding his hand. She felt a little warmth she had never known before. Not fear, but something new. Still, the fear in her eyes did not fully disappear. She had nightmares of being captured and eaten. Sometimes she woke up gasping for breath, her body trembling. Kyle found her one morning sitting by the window, tears shining in her eyes. He sat beside her and did not speak at first. Then he said, "You are safe here. No one will hurt you." Vera looked at him, her voice shaking. "Why would you want to help me? I am your enemy." Kyle shook his head. "You are not my enemy. I want peace. I want to understand you." She looked down and whispered, "I want peace too, but I am scared." Kyle gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "It's okay to be scared. But you are not alone anymore." Meanwhile, tensions between humans and the Zerelli grew elsewhere. The ceasefire was fragile. Some Zerelli leaders believed giving Vera as a gift was a sign of strength, but others thought it made them weak. On the human side, some officers questioned why Cale accepted her. Vera's presence became a symbol of hope and fear at the same time. Cale was determined to protect her, not just because of his duty, but because he saw her as a person, not a prize or a weapon. One evening, Cale asked Vera if she wanted to see the ship's training room. He thought physical activity might help her feel stronger and less afraid. Vera hesitated but then agreed. Inside the training room, Kale showed her how humans exercised, running, lifting light weights, practicing with harmless energy weapons. At first, Vera was clumsy. Her muscles ached, and her movements were slow, but Kale was patient and encouraging. As days passed, Vera grew stronger. She learned to stand tall and face her fears. More importantly, she began to understand that Kale was not a monster. He was kind, patient, and brave. One night, Vera surprised Kale by speaking a few words in English. "Thank you," she said softly. Kale smiled brighter than ever. "You're welcome, Vera." Her voice was still small and uncertain, but it was a start. For the first time, the walls between them seemed to crack. In the quiet moments, Kale thought about what the future might bring. Would the galaxy truly accept peace? Could Vera, once a symbol of fear, become a bridge between their worlds? Only time would tell. But for now, they were two individuals trying to find trust where none had been before. Days blended together aboard the human ship, but for Vera, each one was a small step forward. The fear she carried was still there, but she began to see Kale as more than a frightening soldier. He was patient, kind, and never forced her to do anything she did not want. Kale, too, felt a growing respect and care for the young alien. He knew the stories she had heard about humans. He wanted to prove that those stories were wrong. Slowly, he worked to build trust. One afternoon, Kale was reviewing ship reports in his private quarters when there was a soft knock on the door. "May I come in?" a quiet voice asked. Kale looked up, surprised. It was Vera. She stood at the door, holding a small woven basket. Inside were fruits and some strange plants he did not recognize. I brought this," she said, her voice soft. "For you." Kyle smiled warmly. "Thank you, Vera. That means a lot." She stepped inside and sat down quietly. For a moment, they sat together in silence, the sound of the ship humming gently around them. Then Kale spoke. "Vera, I want to ask you something." She nodded. "Why did you believe that humans would eat you?" Vera looked down at her hands. "My people told me. They said humans are dangerous, that they eat their enemies. When I was chosen as a gift, I thought it was the end." Kale's expression grew serious. "I'm sorry you had to believe that." She nodded again. "It was a story to make us afraid." Kale leaned forward. "But now you see it is not true." Vera's eyes met his. "Yes, I see that now." Over. The next days, Vera began to open up more. She told Kale about her home planet, a world of deserts and sharp mountains where survival was hard. She spoke of her family, who had hoped this gift might bring peace but never imagined how it would feel to be sent away. Kale shared stories of Earth's cities, its oceans, and its people's love for music and art. They exchanged words slowly, helping each other understand. One evening, Kale showed Vera a simple drawing of a human family. "We care for each other," he said. Vera traced the picture with her finger. "Family is important," she whispered. Trust grew, but it was fragile. Vera still kept her distance. Sometimes she would watch Kale quietly, studying his manner. Kale noticed her looking at his hands often. One day he held out his palm. "Touch," he said gently. Vera hesitated but then placed her hand softly in his. The touch was warm and real, not threatening. Kale smiled. "We are not so different." One morning, as they trained in the ship's gym, Vera's fear suddenly returned. A loud alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. Kale grabbed her hand. "Stay close." They ran to the command center, where crew members rushed to their stations. A message flashed on the screen. An unknown ship was approaching fast, and it was hostile. Vera's heart pounded. She looked at Kale's calm face. "We will protect you," he said firmly. The ship prepared for battle. During the fight, Vera stayed close to Kale, watching how he gave orders with courage and skill. She saw humans working together, not as monsters, but as protectors. When the battle ended, Kale turned to her. "You were brave," he said. Vera nodded, feeling stronger. After that day, something changed between them. Vera began to ask questions about human life, about their feelings and hopes. Kale answered honestly, telling her that humans could be kind and brave just like her. One evening, as the stars shone outside the ship's windows, Vera looked at Kale and spoke in clear English. "I trust you." Kale's smile was bright. "Thank you, Vera. That means everything." Peace was still fragile in the galaxy, but here, between a human soldier and an alien girl, a new bond was growing. They were learning that fear could be replaced by understanding, and that even the greatest walls could be broken down, one small step at a time. After the battle, life aboard the ship settled into a calm routine. But for Vera, every day brought new challenges and new chances to learn. The fear that once filled her heart was slowly being replaced by curiosity and hope. Kale made sure Vera never felt alone. He invited her to join him during his daily work, sharing stories about human culture, history, and even simple things like Earth's food and music. One day, Kyle showed Vera a small device that could translate languages. "This will help us talk better," he said with a smile. Vera's eyes lit up. Communication was the hardest part for her. Now she could ask questions without fear. She touched the device carefully. "Thank you," she said in English, her voice steady. Kyle smiled. "You're welcome." Over time, Vera began to speak more. She told Kyle about her childhood on the desert world of Zarella Prime. Life there was harsh. Water was scarce, and every day was a fight to survive. Her family had hoped that by sending her as a gift, they could help end the war. "But I was scared," Vera said one night. "Scared that humans would hurt me." Kyle nodded. "I understand. War makes fear grow, but not all humans are the same." Vera looked thoughtful. "You are different." Kyle chuckled. "Thank you." One afternoon, Kyle invited Vera to the ship's observation deck. They stood side by side looking out at the endless stars. "Do you miss home?" Kyle asked gently. Vera nodded. "Yes, but I want to see more of the galaxy now." Kale smiled. "There is much to explore. Maybe one day you can visit Earth." Vera's eyes sparkled. "I would like that." The more they talked, the more Vera learned about human ways. Kyle showed her images of Earth's great forests and deep oceans. He played music, soft songs sung by people far away. Vera listened closely. She felt the music in her chest, a feeling she did not know before. One evening, as a slow song played, Vera reached out and took Kyle's hand. He looked at her, surprised, but happy. "It is beautiful," she whispered. Kyle squeezed her hand gently, like peace. But peace was still fragile. News came that some factions on Zarella Prime were unhappy with the ceasefire. They believed that giving Vera as a gift was a sign of weakness. Kale and Vera knew they must be careful. One night, Kale sat with Vera in her room. "There are those who want to break peace," Kale said quietly, "but we must stay strong." Vera nodded. "I want to help." Kyle smiled warmly. "Together, we can." Vera began training more with Kale and the crew. She learned to use simple tools and defend herself. Her strength grew, but so did her courage. She knew that if war came again, she would stand beside Kale, not as a gift, but as a warrior and a friend. One day, during a peaceful moment, Vera surprised Kale by speaking in perfect English. "Thank you, Kale. You saved me." Kale smiled deeply. "No, Vera, you saved yourself. You were brave." Vera looked at him with respect and hope. For the first time, she felt truly free. Together they looked to the stars, two very different beings, joined by trust and hope. The future was uncertain, but for the first time it felt full of promise. The journey toward peace was never easy. Vera and Kale traveled together to the next diplomatic summit, where leaders from many worlds would meet to discuss the future. Vera felt nervous. This was her chance to show that she was not just a gift but a symbol of hope. The ship's halls buzzed with tension. Some Zereli leaders still saw Vera as a reminder of weakness. Some humans questioned why Kale had accepted her at all. One evening, Vera overheard a conversation between two Zereli guards. Their voices were low but sharp. "She is a traitor," one said. "She works for the humans now." The other nodded. "We cannot trust her. She will ruin everything." Vera's heart sank. She wanted to believe in peace, but old fears clawed at her again. At the summit, the room was full of powerful figures from many species. Vera stood quietly beside Kyle, feeling small but determined. Suddenly, chaos broke out. A warning flashed across the main screen. Someone had poisoned the food meant for the human diplomats. The crowd gasped in fear. Vera's mind raced. She knew the Zereli guards planned to frame her. She had to act. Without hesitation, she rushed to the kitchen area, searching for the poisoned food. There she found the tainted dishes, a deadly mix meant to start a war again. Vera quickly replaced the poisoned plates with fresh food she helped prepare herself. When the guards found her, they accused her of sabotage. "Traitor," they shouted. "She is working with the humans." But Vera stood firm. "I saved them," she said calmly. "I want peace." Kyle arrived just in time, raising his hand to silence the room. "Listen," Kale said. "Vera saved us all. She showed courage and honor." The room fell quiet. Some looked shocked. Others whispered in disbelief. The summit continued, but the damage was done. Trust was fragile. Vera's loyalty was questioned by both sides. She felt torn between the people who sent her and the ones who saved her. That night, Kale found Vera, alone on the observation deck staring at the stars. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Vera sighed. "I don't know where I belong." Kyle sat beside her. "You belong wherever you choose, not as a gift or prisoner, but as yourself." Vera looked at him, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Kyle, for believing in me." As peace talks resumed, Vera spoke to the council for the first time. Her voice was soft but steady. "I am not a gift," she said. "I am a bridge between worlds. We can end fear with trust." Her words surprised many, but some nodded in agreement. Kyle watched with pride. Vera was no longer silent or afraid. She was a voice for peace. The summit ended with new agreements, fragile but hopeful. Vera and Kyle knew the road ahead would be difficult, but together, they had shown that courage and loyalty could overcome fear. After the summit, news about Vera's brave actions spread quickly. Many were surprised that a Zereli had saved human diplomats. Some people found it hard to believe. Others were angry. They called Vera a traitor. But Kale stood by her side without hesitation. He spoke openly about her courage and honesty. "This is the future we need," he told the council. "Trust, not fear." Vera was invited to share her story. She spoke with quiet strength. "I was afraid when I arrived," she said. "My people told me humans were monsters who would eat me, but Kale showed me kindness. I learned the truth. Humans are brave and kind." Her words touched many hearts. At first, some council members were silent. Then, one by one, they began to nod in agreement. Vera's story opened eyes. It broke the chains of old fears and lies. A peaceful future seemed possible. Kale and Vera worked together to build bridges between their peoples. They traveled to Zarella Prime, where Vera's family still lived. It was not easy. Many on her homeworld were still angry or suspicious. But Vera stood tall. She spoke about the peace she had found and the hope for a better future. Her family listened. Slowly, walls began to fall. Kale watched proudly as Vera became a leader in her own right. She was no longer just a gift or a prisoner. She was a symbol of change. Together, They planned to bring humans and Zarelli closer, through trade, culture, and friendship. One evening, Kyle and Vera sat together under the twin moons of Zirella Prime. Vera looked up at the sky. "I never thought I would find peace with humans," she said softly. Kyle smiled. "Neither did I. But here we are." Vera took his hand. "We are stronger together." The galaxy was still uncertain, but hope was growing. For the first time in a long time, two worlds were joining as one. And the truth had broken the chains of fear. The galaxy was changing. The fragile peace between humans and the Zarelli was growing, stronger, thanks to the courage of many, but especially Vera and Kale. No longer was Vera seen as just a gift or a symbol of surrender. She was now a leader, a bridge between two very different worlds. After her speech at the council and her brave actions at the summit, many came to respect her. They saw her not as an object, but as a person, with her own voice and dreams. 1. Morning, Kale stood by the ship's command window watching the stars move slowly past. Vera approached quietly. "Kale," she said, her voice calm but sure, "what is my place now? I was given to you as a gift, but I am more than that." Kale turned and smiled. "You're right, you are more than a gift. You are a partner, a friend, a leader." He reached out and took her hand gently. "I want you to join my team. As a cultural advisor, you can help us understand each other better." Vera's eyes shone. "I would like that very much." Together, they began working to build real connections. Vera helped translate not only language but culture and feelings between humans and Zarelli. She spoke at meetings, sharing her story, encouraging understanding and respect. Her presence helped calm old fears. Slowly, the galaxy began to listen. One day, during a peaceful ceremony to honor those who helped build the new alliance, Vera stood beside Kale. Both wore simple clothes, but their faces shone with pride. The Zarelli leaders formally thanked Vera for her courage. The human ambassadors cheered for Kale's leadership. But most of all, the two of them shared a quiet moment, knowing their journey was far from over, but hopeful. Vera looked out at the crowd and saw faces from many worlds. Some were still unsure, others smiled with hope. She whispered to Kale, "This is only the beginning." Kale nodded. "Together we will face whatever comes." In the months that followed, new trade routes opened. Cultural exchanges began. Humans learned Zarelli art, and Zarelli studied human music. The walls of fear slowly fell away. Vera and Kale's friendship grew deeper, built on trust and respect. One night, under the stars, Vera said softly, "I was afraid when I first came to you, but you showed me a new way." Kale smiled. "And you showed me that hope can come from the most unlikely places." They looked at each other, knowing their bond was something rare, a true friendship between two worlds. The galaxy was still full of challenges, but with people like Vera and Kale leading the way, there was a new hope. A hope that peace was possible. A hope that even the greatest fears could be overcome by kindness. And most of all, a hope that all beings, no matter where they came from, could find a place to belong.